What's going on, guys? Today we are jumping into a strongman video. We've gotten a lot of people asking about, go over the log, go over the yoke, blah, 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 blah. We're listening to you. We care about you, and we want to make sure the beautiful comments in the YouTube section get answered. So today I brought Brittney Diamond, Matt Mills, both professional strongman competitors, in to talk about one of the biggest and I think least used pieces of equipment here at this gym, considering I had
probably the last time it was used when I was here?
Yeah, I did when you.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I had to bring it from the outside, and it's raining and icy, so it's really, really cool. But what we wanted to do is go over the first of a few strongman related videos that we have and introduce the yoke. So Matt, Brittney, take it away.
So I love yoke. I think it's beneficial for everyone. In my opinion, it's one of the most technical strongman lifts, because what's going to happen is, let's say you have 10 competitors. What's going to happen at the high levels is between number 1 and number 2 and number 3, etc. You might only be separated by a fraction of a second. So being technically sound with the yoke is very important. When you're practicing, you want to do a lot of runs, lighter weight, and just nail everything. So I'm going to go over a couple ways you can do it. It's great. So I'm 5'7" and 180 pounds. Matt, you're
6'1".
Okay.
Me too. Yeah.
So it's what's perfect is, so I'm tall enough, so I've had yokes in contests where I actually can't reach across. My wingspan isn't long enough. So I'm gonna go over 2 different ways. First, I'll go over the most ideal way if you can reach. So what I'm gonna do, and I hold it a little bit higher than most people. So just like a high bar squat, you're gonna get right under it. You do not wanna get right under it until it's time to go, because even just being in this position is a little fatiguing. And this yoke weighs, I don't know, around 300, so pretty heavy to start with. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing outwards on the yoke. Some people push inwards. I like to push out. The way to know which one you like is just to try a couple sets and time yourself and see what's better. So this is the exact same as my squat stance. These aren't the best shoes. I usually do something a little flatter, but just like a squat, I'm gonna brace, pick up, and then I can't really talk great as I do this, but I'll do it again. And what you're gonna notice, so the most important for a yoke, whether you're going for speed or for a heavy distance, there could be in competitions, usually it's about 50 or 60 feet, fastest time wins. But I've also seen competitions where it's a max yoke for 20 feet. You'll notice when I pick it up, the most important is I wanna get stable. So I'm actually taking my time, and I start off with short, choppy steps, and as I get more comfortable, then I'm gonna open my stride as I go. Another thing is the breathing. When I'm doing a heavy set, will wear a belt, obviously, knee sleeves, all of that, but I'll actually hold my breath and slowly exhale. If it's a longer run, obviously I might have to take another breath, or if it's like I've seen it where it's been 60 feet, drop and go again, but you wanna hold your breath as long as you can, because when you're doing it, you wanna go as fast as you can, and it just kinda comes second nature, you don't really think about it. Now the other way, this is typically for females that are a little on the shorter side. Matt and I were talking before this, and we would never do it like this unless you have to, because it puts a lot of stress on the front delts. It just doesn't feel as stable either. I feel like it's gonna fall off my back. But again, if you're short, or there was one time where I had a yoke, it was like 14 feet. It was an old school style one in Norway. And literally it was impossible to reach across. So I had to hold it like this. So I think it's good to actually just be familiar with both techniques. So same thing, we're just gonna be like a high neck. I like to wrap, I keep my thumbs up, because I could do it like this, it's just it puts even more pressure on my shoulders. I don't even think I could do it like that anymore without hurting myself, so. Another thing that's important too, I'll see a lot of beginners put their head down. You always wanna keep your eyes forward. Same thing for any moving bend, so you can see the direction you're gonna go in. And I'll have Matt, so I think I remember seeing Matt's videos with yoke. I think you put your hands a little lower than mine. So
well,
I'd like to
you kind of nailed everything right there. I'll just show you how I do it, which isn't much different than what you do. I grab lower. A lot of that's just, I'm not as flexible. I couldn't even get in here and put that on my back here. So I grab down here, one reason I do that is, you see how this is connected right here. I feel I can control this better by grabbing here than I can here. If I grab here, this can still move a little bit. So I like to hang on here where it won't shake as much. But also, you hold this in a high bar position like Britt said. People do make the mistake of having this in a low bar position. And what happens is when you do it, you have it low bar like a squat, you have to walk like this. It's gonna slow you down, you're not in a very strong position. So one thing on a yoke, don't ever try it in a low bar position, always have it in a high bar position. When I do grab here, one thing I do is I tilt my elbows. If you can see my traps here, when I grab the sides and I tilt up, I now have a bigger shelf than down, right? You can see that difference there. So the more stable position I can have this yoke in, the stronger and the faster I'm gonna be. So I grab down here, and I also drive out like she said too. The same thing, if you like to pull in, try each one, see what works better. But I'm gonna push out, get this right in a good spot, upper back, get tight. I tilt my elbows up for big traps, brace. And then same thing, choppy steps, and I'm moving. So there's some common mistakes there where people will start walking like normal. You need to do choppy steps to get that speed first. People will pick it up and start walking like this, and then they're all over the place like a baby deer, right? Another mistake people make is they pick the yoke up in a wide stance. Now you might be stronger. Let's say you're a strong squatter in a wide stance. If I pick this yoke up like this, I might have a good pick. I might be a strong, solid pick right here. But now, to move, I gotta bring my feet in, and now I'm losing time. So like she said, like Britt said, these are won and lost by fractions of a second. All those little things make a huge, huge difference. If it is light enough, and you have a solid technique here, one thing you can do the same thing on a farmer's walk, is you can do this in a staggered stance. If it's light enough. If it's too heavy, this isn't gonna work for you.
The one thing people often forget, so yoke, you know, you can touch a log, a barbell, etc., and it's gonna be pretty much the same. Yoke, like I said, I was at a contest where I had to change my technique that day. One thing I always tell people, just so you don't waste time, is when you're practicing, take a measuring tape, measure where your height is once you figure out what's perfect for you, and write that down forever. Unless you go through a growth spurt, it's probably not gonna change. So that's the one thing I always tell people, like, measure it, keep it consistent.
Yeah, you're gonna be on different pieces of equipment all the time. You don't know where that's gonna be.